came to the booth one night and is like, what y'all saw? What food y'all have tonight?
What food?
He say, what food? We ain't got no food. He say, man, y'all should just call yourself nothing but alcohol.
There you go. Yes, folks, in this crazy music industry we live in, there are people working very hard behind the scenes to make things happen. It could be the guy responsible for the crazy event you and your friends went to. It could be the man putting up the money to produce a production album dedicated to local artists. Or it could be a manager pushing and believing in his artist, sometimes more than the artist believing in himself. Now our next guest is all of those things. Longtime event planner, artist promoter, and overall man of the people, Duncan van Heyningen. But we like to call him Uncle Duncan. Yes, Uncle Duncan, thank you for making it to the show, bro. Really appreciate your time.
Thanks for having me, man.
Now it's clear to me we got a long list of things to talk about because you did a lot of good stuff for Maarten. But I want to get into it, although I do want to start at the beginning. So in 1985, you moved from Utrecht over here to Maarten. You was almost 12, right?
Man, do your homework.
Yes, sir.
You did your homework.
Yes, sir.
That's
this is
good.
Sitting Down with Stov. We have to know.
Right.
Now, you became an adult here. Now, what is the difference between the going out scene back when you was growing up and the going out scene now in Maarten currently? What would you say is the difference?
Back in the late 80s, early 90s, like matter of fact, right there where they have a Japanese restaurant right now, used to be called Studio 7, and Sherry's was in full swing back then as well.
Yeah.
Back in the main difference back in those days versus today is that people used to go out, leave their house, and open the club.
Ah, yes.
There used to be lines when the club was about to open.
Wow.
So people used to come by Sherry's, hang out first, and then line up on the stairs, because the entrance used to be inside, so they used to be lined up on the stairs to go inside. For those who know the back entrance of Tantra, the back entrance of Tantra used to be the main entrance for Studio 7.
Right.
So that is, the line used to be into the casino. People used to come by Sherry's, have some drinks before, and then go to the club.
Yeah.
You know. So look, I just
production
got
value right
yeah. So the difference was that people used to go out earlier and really go out to have a good time instead of watching each other, watching who wearing what and who with who, and
sounds like a
those
better
type
time
of
to
things.
me.
You know, so like instead of going to the club like 12 o'clock, which happens now, there used to be a line at the club at 10 o'clock waiting for the doors to open. So that's the main difference between back then and now, and also there were less fights.
Okay. Well, that's the main difference.
Less stress. St. Maarten was really a place where people felt comfortable going out, whether it's tourists, locals, whatever have you. Yeah. And it's still, till today, I can tell you this still today because of the amount of friends I have in the industry, and the different DJs from different islands, promoters from different islands that I know. Yeah. When they come to St. Maarten, they're always surprised about the fact that everyone hangs out together. Right. So there's no segregated club just for tourists. No segregated clubs just for locals. It's like, and even if there is a spot that's considered local, there's still tourists. There's still people that, if a tourist shows up, nobody really cares. Right. You know, like versus like for instance St. Thomas, which one of my DJ friends, DJ Avalanche, is from. And he's done events there, and he's like, yo, Duncan, when I came to St. Maarten, this is the first time I saw tourists and locals rocking at the same spots. Yeah. You know, like St. Thomas, for those that don't know, we have greenhouse here. There's also a greenhouse in St. Thomas.
Oh, word, okay.
And that's like kind of the only spot where locals and tourists hang out together.
Yeah, not to cut you off, but I do want to get into your entertainment firm.
Yes.
Deviage.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
How did that come to be? Who helped you build it? What are some of the artists you promote?
It actually was, it came via my brother actually being an entertainer. Right. From a very young age, my brother, I used to rap as well and different things, but my brother was really into the whole dancehall movement and hip hop. After that, I actually introduced my brother to hip hop music, and this is the reason why he's still rapping till today.
Word.
You know, but it started off in 96, 97. Where there was a talent show. My brother, who went to Holland because of Hurricane Lewis, he had to go and do school in Holland because our schools were down.
Yep.
So he came back from school, and there was a talent show right here in Maho. And himself and another friend of mine called Toothpick, one of St. Maarten's pioneers in hip hop, entered a talent show here, and they won the rap category. After that, I started managing them as a group, and we realized the interest in the hip hop culture on a whole on the island.
And is that also where the Hip Hop Foundation came to be?
That is exactly that point. That talent show is where the Hip Hop Foundation was actually born in that sense.
Right.
So we started looking at different people that had an interest in the hip hop culture, and we got some guys together, DJ Chef. We had Renegade, who's actually a school teacher. Right. Myself, my boy Watson, who was also my co-host on Beatstreet.
On the Beatstreet, which we'll get into.
Which we'll get into, I guess. And Toothpick. So there were 5 of us. We started a foundation, 5 board members, myself being the president, and we started a Hip Hop Foundation. Right. Back in 97.
And this collective of artists, you produced something very special. An album, right?
Yeah, but that we did a lot of stuff. When you look at 97, 98, every single major concert, our artists opened for those concerts. All of our art, and we had an artist roster of about 30 artists. 30 artists that was under the Hip Hop Foundation, like at that time.
Crazy collective.
Into hip hop music, you know. So, and we would have meetings, we would have ciphers with like 30 MCs just kicking it, you know, and it was really, that was the time that really everything started, planted seeds and everything started to grow.
Maybe it's actually a good segue in telling us about Paradise, the album.
Well, definitely, because if it wasn't for the St. Maarten Hip Hop Foundation, as we found out, sadly, that when you have a lot of different personalities, and especially some groups who are starting to do better than others, and there started to be some animosity within the collective.
Got it.
And what we decided, myself and Watson, what we decided to do is to branch out and start our own thing, which became Deviage Entertainment, where we grabbed about 6 or 7 of what we consider to be the MCs that were on board with us, and worked with them. So what we did, we put out a couple mixtapes at first. The first straight to hard drive. To hard drive, like today is normal for kids to record directly to their computer. Right. But I'm talking late 90s to record straight to hard drive was unheard of. Our album actually, Paradise, we recorded to DATs. We still recorded to tapes.
Wow. Okay.
We recorded to DATs. So we did it the traditional way.
Is there a way for us to listen to it somehow? Like, do you consider putting it on any modern streaming?
I would, and a lot of people have been
asking it.
Asking. I still have a couple of actual copies at home, very few. but a lot of people have been asking us to upload it to a digital media, whether it's a SoundCloud or whatever have you, and which, I mean, why not?
Yeah.
Why not? Because we consider Paradise to actually be the blueprint for Sittin hip hop. That's how we look at Paradise. And when you look at people rapping in their own dialect today, which back when we started was like, there was a handful of guys doing it. Everyone else tried to sound like they're from the US. And we had like Rukshan, my brother, Rukshan, we had Dutch Yardis, we had like different individuals that refused to rap what we call Yankee. So they refused to rap in that way, and they rapped in their mother tongue, so in the Sittin language, Sittin slang and all that stuff. And you've seen like in the past, especially the past like 5 to 10 years, you've seen, for instance, the guys from the Virgin Islands, Rock City, rapping in the Tomian accent, and is widely accepted, and all of a sudden being from the Caribbean is cool. So people that were claiming to be from New York back in 80s, 90s, even early 2000s, all of a sudden you're hearing, but my mom is from Jamaica, my dad is from St. Vincent, and then all of a sudden they're reclaiming their Caribbean heritage, which was not happening before. So whether we knew, and everyone that studied and knows hip hop knows that hip hop came from the Caribbean, not from New York. It's a Jamaican who went to New York that created hip hop. And I've always felt like I've been on a crash course in a sense with hip hop and the hip hop culture, being that I was born the same year hip hop was born. And we've had, I mean, like growing up as a young kid, the first hip hop record I heard was because of my old man, my dad. You know what I mean? Like Grandmaster Flash, talking about the message. You're talking about, I said the hip hop, the hip, you know what I mean? Like Rappers Delight, and these are the things like I've been hearing these things from the age of 5. So I've been listening, and I was introduced to hip hop culture at a very young age. I break danced when I was 10 years old. I toured cities in Holland at 10 years old. At 10 years old, I toured cities breakdancing. So I rapped.
You got a whole history to it. You got a whole history to it. Tell us a little bit about Beatstreet, because I feel like a lot of guys back in the day did find their way because of Beatstreet in a way. Like they did get exposed in the way that really complemented their career.
Yes, I think what Beatstreet really did is it gave local hip hop artists in particular a platform. For 5 years we had a radio program, and we really propelled the local hip hop artists to their music being accepted and listened to by other local people. Because a lot of times you find that the most difficult market to influence as an artist is your local market. While the outside world might recognize what your capabilities are and what your skill level is, for you to be accepted locally is a whole different story.
Sets the standard for sure.
We started Beatstreet. Well, actually, Lady Grace started Beatstreet. Okay. For those that don't know, Lady Grace started Beatstreet. Myself and Watson became the face of Beatstreet, but Lady Grace started it. I was her first guest on her first show, and became her co-host.
Look at
the
that.
following show, and then I ended up basically running the program with her being the executive producer for the program. But we had what we had on Beatstreet was called the local block, which was 30 minutes of purely local hip hop music every single Saturday, which gave a platform to guys like Versatile. I mean, any rapper you're talking about that was doing anything in the early 2000s, they passed through Beatstreet. And we were, like I said, again, we were the first radio program on St. Maarten to showcase local talent, local hip hop.
Duncan, you're known as a notorious event party planner, man. You're responsible for parties like The Goodness, right? Summer Madness. Tell us what differentiated the event The Goodness from other parties, you would say.
Singling out the goodness alone wouldn't do our events justice. The fact that before we started doing events, nightclubs in St. Maarten never used to have multiple DJs or international DJs really coming through to their clubs.
Right.
Studio used to have 3 resident DJs,
okay,
which is cool.
Yeah.
They had DJ Commodore, they had Party Do. Jason used to spin there. Another friend of mine, Jimmy Tema, right now he works for GB. He's one of the C-level guys in GB.
Man. It's always the people
but
you
yeah,
really
no,
go
but I mean, like they actually had like 3 DJs. Sometimes they had 3 DJs in one evening in the clubs. But most of the time, when I used to go out, whether it's Le Club or Amnesia or Bliss or whatever, there was always one DJ playing from the club opening till the club closing.
Right.
One DJ only.
Your party events
right?
have multiple.
And so when we introduced and we started doing events as the Hip Hop Foundation at first, and then after that as Deviage Entertainment, one of our goals was always to give party people a new experience.
Yeah.
Something that you cannot get from a regular nightclub.
Right.
So we started doing like live performances and having multiple DJs playing on specific nights. As Deviage Entertainment, we also introduced anniversary parties. So for Beatstreet anniversary parties, we had those, we had different things, you know. And we also introduced like parties that lasted longer than one night. So weekend parties, a whole week event. And that is what we did with the goodness, and we really, I think with those things we did as well, I think it laid also the foundation for any other promoter to do what's going on today.
Right.
You know, because again, it wasn't done before.
Yeah.
We did it, and then everyone started doing these different events, 3-day events, 7-day events, you name it. And I mean, there were events where we flew in probably close to 10 DJs or artists or whatever, and we did week-long events, put them up right here in my whole all-inclusive, whatever, you know, and really invaded all the popular night spots at that time, you know. And I think that's what the goodness really did is establish the fact that it could be done.
Right.
And I think it gave a lot of promoters that fuel they needed for them to also pursue what they wanted to do. And I applaud like all of these younger guys that came after me.
I think something that to point out something from the goodness is actually a question I had in the back of my head that's pretty important to specifically the goodness, and that is tomato a fruit or a vegetable?
You like a lot of shit.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, you get some really good inside info.
Deep.
That's really good inside info, cause that actually became a discussion during one of the goodness between all the DJs we were at. At that time, it was ESPN. It was still called ESPN back then by Pineapple Pete's. The sports bar in the back. And after one of the club gigs during the goodness, all of it took all the DJs and we said, let's get some breakfast, some late night lunch, or whatever you call it. And discussion started. It's like, hey, is a tomato a fruit or a vegetable? And
it became a thing.
Yeah, since then we all know right now that it's a fruit. So anything with seeds inside is a fruit.
Google it.
Yeah, you can Google that.
Now, I know you're responsible for a carnival booth, very special carnival booth, right? NBA, standing for nothing but alcohol.
Nothing but alcohol, yeah.
Right? First of all, where's the
wutup?
Yeah, exactly. Where's the wutup?
I forget to walk with it.
No problem. Next time.
Yeah, but you wouldn't be able to do that on camera anyway, because you would not be able to compose yourself as you have.
Whoa, what is, so the people want to know, what is the contents?
No.
Classified information.
It's like asking the colonel, what are the 11 ingredients
in the
KFC?
Oh, okay.
We don't share that publicly.
All right.
But NBA, man, that's another thing actually. And the funny, I didn't even think on this before, but the funny thing is actually that NBA was born from Beatstreet.
Ah, it was.
Yes, because when I first got the boot, we took the boot as Beatstreet.
Okay.
As in our program and whatever, and we went into the Carnival. It was a last minute something. They called us legit 2 weeks before Carnival. Hey, Duncan, I heard you were interested in a boot. Are you still interested? I'm like, sure, why not? So the first year, or first 2 years actually, our boot didn't even have a name. It was just Beatstreet.
Yeah.
Beatstreet's Dollar Bar, whatever it was when we first started.
And the concept of NBA, how did that come in?
NBA came from the fact that some of our customers, in this case, Mr. Clement Richardson, known as Bucci, came to the booth one night and is like, what y'all serve? What food y'all have tonight?
What food?
He said, what food? We ain't got no food. He said, man, y'all should just call yourself nothing but alcohol.
There you go.
So NBA, and something clicked. I called one of my friends who was also part of Deviage Entertainment as an artist, Dialogue, who many people know as Cookie, the barber, who now has Jan's Kitchen together with his mom in Simpson Bay.
Okay, word.
And I was like, yo, dude, I need a logo. I need a logo.
Yeah.
It has to look like the NBA logo,
Yeah.
but it has to include like a dude having a drink.
Yeah.
So NBA was born from that.
Word.
And from there we made it a brand and yeah, it was
Awesome,
a brand
bro.
that everyone recognizes.
Awesome, bro. Just another thing that Duncan was behind. Duncan, I had so much fun with this interview. I just want to ask you one last question. You know, Duncan, when he's not planning events, promoting artists, what does Duncan like to do in his free time to enjoy himself? Like, what does he do?
So we were talking about what I do.
Yeah.
In my off time. It used to be events, obviously partying, because I'm also I'm a believer that you cannot be a promoter and not go to these different venues that you plan on hosting events at.
Right.
So you have to do a lot of scouting, you have to do a lot of research as a promoter, and not because you see, oh, that spot is a popular spot or whatever. I'm gonna bring 3 DJs and a host and put somebody to cash at the door, and then my event is gonna be great. No, you have to scout the place. You have to know what the place is about.
Word.
You have to know how it runs.
Yep.
How it runs, so that you can get an understanding of, hey, whether it's a venue you would like to do something at or not. So that, I mean, pre-pandemic, and I mean, actually last year, I made a decision to stop doing club events.
Okay.
So pandemic and my decision went hand in hand because there was nothing to do.
Is it a health reason, or is it?
It was. I felt, and I feel till today. Now I did my thing. 20 odd years, 20 something years doing club events, and I felt it was time to transition into something else.
Word.
And give. Especially there's a lot of younger promoters right now, several DJs that double as promoters as well. And I was like, you know what? Let me take a step back. The market is a little saturated right now because it's a small line. And instead of competing with other events that are going on and with other promoters, let me pull back and focus on different things. So I'm still in a process right now of changing the direction, also trying to find a way where I can involve, for instance, my kids to do some of these things, and give them basically an extra income from events or whatever it is where we plan on doing moving forward. But yeah, I mean, I've been in clubs for a lot more than enough time, 20 plus years.
Yeah.
20 plus years. There's I don't think there's another club promoter on St. Maarten that can boast the record that I have right now and the success that I've had over the years. And I feel really proud, like the guys that are there right now. I mean, right now Sponge is in Holland, but Big Boss, Maestro, Kembe, like all the other promoters that are there now, but they double.
Yeah.
And which is good because DJs before only used to think about going out to make their money spinning.
Yeah.
And right now they realize like the popularity and with the social media and all these different things, like the market has changed. Whereas DJs can be the promoter right now and cut out that middleman, whereas at the end of the night, instead of walking away with $300-400, you could walk away with like $1,200, $2,000.
Yeah. Right.
You understand? As a promoter versus being just an entertainer.
Yeah.
So but anyway,
Facts.
post-pandemic,
Yeah.
or during pandemic, I started cycling. And I really like that. So I think the world has gotten more healthy.
Yeah,
because of the pandemic, a lot more people started exercising, riding bikes, running, hiking, doing different things. And right now, what I do in my free time, being that I'm not doing club events, so I cycle, which is exercise.
I heard you're a good cook. Is that true?
Yeah, I could throw down a little bit. I could throw down. Like my family and friends can attest to that.
Okay.
They will have to verify whether the food tastes good or not. But yeah, I cook. I do the majority. I have been doing the majority of the cooking at home.
Okay.
Either way,
Sweet,
which is something they might not know.
Me and Saga have to pass by for sure. Brother, let's end it on a good note. Thank you so much, bro. And good people, if you like the episode, like, share, subscribe, and who knows who's the next guest next week. Peace.